Back in 1983, Michelle Newton, who was 3 years old, was reported missing by her father. Now, more than 40 years later, she's been found alive and reunited with family. It all started on April 2nd, 1983, when Michelle's mother and father were planning to move the family from Louisville, Kentucky to Georgia for work. Michelle's mom, Deborah Newton, decided to take Michelle down to Georgia first so that she could establish the home and prepare it for the family. Joseph Newton, Michelle's father, was going to come down at a later date. When Joseph made it down to Georgia, that's when he noticed that his daughter Michelle and his wife Deborah were gone. He also found out upon reporting both of them missing that Deborah, his wife, had actually filed for divorce from him, which ultimately resulted in him gaining full custody of his daughter Michelle, but nobody knew where she was or if she was even still alive. A warrant for custodial interference was issued for Deborah, and she was placed on the FBI's top 8 most wanted parental kidnapping fugitives list. But years of no tips and no leads ultimately led this case to simmer down, and in the year 2000 the case was dismissed due to, quote, inability to reach the father. Law enforcement had lost contact with Joseph. Michelle was then moved from the National Missing Child Database in 2005 due to what they termed as inaccurate information. The case ended up going cold but was re-indicted back in 2016 after Michelle Newton's aunt, Karen Spaulding, begged detectives to re-examine the case. Michelle's family was desperate for answers. After fighting tooth and nail to keep Michelle's name and face in the media, almost 10 years later in November of 2025, a Crime Stoppers tip in Florida identified a woman using a different name as a possible match for Deborah Newton, Michelle's mom. A detective ended up confirming the resemblance of Deborah and this woman found in Florida using a recent photo and a 1983 photo of her, and DNA testing ultimately confirmed her identity was a 99.9% match to Deborah Newton, as well as to her sister, Karen Spaulding. After this discovery was made, police were able to locate Michelle, who was living under a different identity in another state and was unaware that she had been an abduction victim. When officers arrived to her door, they said, quote, "You're not who you think you are. You're a missing person. You're Michelle Marie Newton." Upon discovering her true identity, which she had no idea about, Michelle contacted the sheriff's office and was reunited with her father and other family members she had not seen in 4 decades. Michelle's mother, Deborah Newton, who was also going by a different name, was arrested in Marion County, Florida, and has been charged with felony custodial interference. She was arraigned in December of 2025 in a Jefferson County courtroom where both Michelle and her father were in attendance. Deborah entered a plea of not guilty and was ultimately bonded out of jail until she awaits trial. Michelle has expressed joy in being able to reconnect with her father and other family members after all of these years. She said that her intention is to support both her mom and her father through their legal processes.
She's always been in our heart. I can't explain that moment walking in and get to put my arms back around my daughter.